Hi, I wanted to do a video on our success story, our vasectomy reversal success story, because when I was still in the process of getting one, I looked around for these kinds of videos and didn't find a lot, so I'm going to tell you my success story. My husband had the vasectomy originally done in 2011, 6 weeks after our son was born. He was a really traumatic birth. He was over 9 pounds. He had shoulder dystocia. It was unmedicated because it happened within 2 hours. And right after I pushed him out, I said to my husband, "You can get a vasectomy now," because I was in excruciating amounts of pain and I never wanted to go through that again. And he took me at my word, even though I feel like I was kind of, insane at the moment. And within 6 weeks, he had the procedure done. On the way down there, I said, "Are you sure? Are we sure about this? Are we sure we want to do this?" He said, "Yes, we're sure about this." This was our 3rd child, and he felt done, and at the time I did too. So fast forward a year or two, and I started really regretting it. And I would mention it to him in passing, and he'd be like, "Nope, that ship has sailed. That is over. Let's not bring that up again." And so I tried not to, but I was staying home with my kids now, and I had started homeschooling them. And really started getting back to growing my relationship with God. And the more I did, the more I felt compelled that it was my duty to stay at home with my children and raise them to be little warriors for Christ. And they got older, and I just felt like there's something missing, and there's an empty spot. And my purpose was to be a mother and have children, and I feel like we just cut that off, took it in our own hands, and said, "No, God, we're not going to do your plan for our life. We're going to mutilate my husband's body and say, we're going to do it our way." That's how I felt. So 7 years went by, and we kind of changed our lives. We moved out of our nice house in the suburb area and decided we want to move out to the woods and kind of do a homestead thing. So we bought a little rundown house on 10 acres. And then it really started to burn with me. I'm like, I am out here. I am doing my homestead life. Kids are outside barefoot. We are all happy. And so I brought it up to my husband again. And he kind of started. We had some big talks this time. Usually it was no when he shut it down. But this time we had some big talks. Some really good talks. And I wrote him a couple letters because that's how I get my feelings across better. And he started to come around a little bit. He started to come around to the reversal. Not only because for the option of another baby, but because he was actually having post-vasectomy pain in his left testy, and it was pretty bad. So that was another reason it swayed him, I think. So one morning he came in to my room when I was half asleep, and he said, "Okay, you better put me on that waiting list." We're talking about Dr. Wilson's office. And I was so out of it, and I kind of put my head in my pillow and I started crying, and I think he really knew. He's like, "Well, that's all you're going to do?" He thought I was going to be so excited. I'm like, I don't even know what to say. I'm in shock. Complete shock. I've been waiting 7 years for this, and it's going to happen. So that morning we got on the computer, went on the waiting list, put the down payment down, and it was like maybe 12 weeks. But everyone's like, check the schedule for openings. And so I did one morning, and I found out I could get in March 16th, which was like weeks and weeks sooner. And I called him up on the phone. I'm like, "Honey, I just got an opening for March 16th. He's like, "Honey, I can't do it that day. I have to go up to Michigan with something with his boss." And I was like, "Are you kidding me?" He's like, "Let me check." So an excruciating, like 2 or 3 hours later, he calls and tells me, "Okay, that's fine." So that was like an emotional bump in the road. So we were leaving in 2 weeks. We were going to fly, but we decided at the last minute to take our vehicle, our Ford Explorer, down there with all 5 of us for like a road trip. He thought it would be fun to do a road trip, and it was fun. I mean, the trip couldn't have gone smoother. It was all God. Every single thing. I mean, this vehicle was a 2002, and it was smooth. It just went right down there. We stopped at a couple hotels. The procedure was short and easy. We all sat in the waiting room. This is kind of like a review of Dr. Wilson too. Everyone said he talks fast and that he was kind of brusque, but I thought he was great. He said a wonderful prayer that brought me to tears because it was just really moving. He had movies on the TV for the kids, private area, you know, there's comfortable seating. And so he was in there, I'd say an hour and a half maybe, and I got to come in for the last part of it. And he was playing some nice soothing worship music on the radio, and he saw, when he looked in the microscope, nothing on one side and only heads on the other. I'm like, oh, okay, well, this is better than nothing, but I was really hoping for live sperm. He said there's a 65% return of sperm, a chance of return of sperm. 65%, I'll take it, you know. So the way home was rougher, of course, because he had drains and bandages and drainage and bleeding and stopping at gas station bathrooms, but he wanted to get home. He was in a rush, and I was kind of like, oh, you know, you have to take it easy. You're going to tear something or something's going to scar over. But there's no telling a guy to take it easy, I don't think. So we got home. He did rest up. He was in a lot of pain. He took all of the medication the doctor prescribed, a lot of Advil. I'd say he was out, not his normal self, for probably 10 days. He didn't go back to work for about a week, and then it was very, you know, light labor. So I was actually, after a week, I was coming to the fertile part of my cycle, but we couldn't make love, you know, because it was supposed to be a 2-week wait. But there was going to be no 2-week wait for us because my husband is an animal, and we made it 6 days. We made it 6 days before we had sex, and I was like, oh, maybe there's a chance. But no, I got my period that cycle. The next cycle was... No, we had no luck either for that one. The next cycle, this last one, I started charting. I started going on Fertility Friend and learned so much more. I thought I knew everything. I thought I knew everything about ovulation, but I didn't. I didn't know there would be a drastic temp change. I didn't really know when to watch for the cervical mucus. So I used Fertility Friend. I charted my temp every morning, and I saw